Dear little Felix, I want to tell you some stories about what you're going to experience in the future. And I'm not telling you because I have this magic up my sleeve and you're going to be able to avoid them just because you have this information. But I'm telling you because when you face these things, I want you to know that none of it is going to be in vain. You're going to be okay. And to your surprise, you're actually going to be better than okay. But because there's going to be some moments that are going to be so dark that you're going to feel like you're never going to see the other side. But I want you to just trust me. Because you will. And, I have some great news for you. You're going to make it to 40. And now something's going to happen at 39 that's going to turn your life upside down. But you do make it to 40. I want you to know that these stories are not just about the trauma and the heartache and pain that you're going to experience. It's also about the joy and beauty of the journey. There's going to be some great things that happen. But I need you to hear all of them so you know that things are going to be fine. So let's just jump right in. This is Bedtime Story number 1. It's fall 1999 and you are a freshman in college. You make a new friend that's a junior whom you meet on AOL in a chat room. You were pretty busy on the internet when it first came out and very social and loved to meet new people. So you were on the prowl to meet people in Atlanta to help kind of walk you through this journey as you're going to be going away for the first time, being away from your family, and feeling like you're going to be able to just start really living your life like you want. Little did you know, a lot of home is going to be away as well. So a lot of those people that you're around in high school, you're going to be around them in college too, right at the beginning. That's going to be a little tricky for you, but that's not the point of this story. We'll talk about that another time. So this junior that you befriend really takes you under his wing. And because you are so curious and love to explore new things, you just follow him around and go everywhere. So he introduces you to lots of people. You go to events and parties and just having a good old time when you're actually supposed to be going to class. So as this friendship develops, you start to develop certain feelings for him. He's an attractive guy. He's older, just a couple years, but at that age, you're going to look up to him because he knows people. He knows everything. He's showing you the way of the city and the way of the school. So things are great. Y'all having a good time. And fast forward to spring. It's a pretty brisk morning. And you're trying to figure out what you're going to do for the day. It's a Saturday morning. Nothing really going on. So you reach out to him and say, hey, let's hang out. What do you have going on? I think it was around 9 a.m. So he invites you over to his room. He says, nothing much, just come over and hang out. So you get dressed and head over. Get into the room. He's laying in the bed. Cool. So you sit down at the desk and you're pretty much just sitting there trying to figure out why he's still laying in the bed. And he says to you, it's too early. I don't really feel like doing anything. We can go to the mall later, but let's just chill. You're like, okay, sure. And then he says, why don't you just come get in the bed? So at this point, your mind is racing because again, you started to get feelings for this guy. You got a crush on him. You're not like falling for him or anything. You just got a crush on him. So this is kind of the moment that you've been waiting for. He's inviting you into his bed. So you're a little reluctant because you're supposed to be friends and you don't want to cross that line. But based on your experiences earlier in your teenage years, a lot of times you meet friends and then you become, let's see, I'll just say like friends with benefits, but definitely heavier on the friends part. So you just think, hey, what's the big deal? So you take your clothes off and you get into bed. And at first it's fine. No big deal. You're kind of excited. Like you're finally getting into bed with this man that you've been thinking about from time to time. And he starts to, well, the bed is like a twin bed, so you're kind of up on each other just naturally because there's not much space. But he starts to inch over to you closer. And it starts to become a little uncomfortable because you're not really sure what you want to do. You know what you want, but you keep thinking, I don't want this to mess up our friendship. And you're confused too because, again, you've done that with other friends many times over before that, and you never felt that way. But there's something about this one. There's something that struck you in your spirit that there's something not right. But you kind of went along with it. So he starts to caress you and you tense up because, again, it just doesn't feel right. But at the same time, you want it. You are going through such complex thoughts and emotions all racing at the same time. You're just not sure what to do. It's like time was moving at the speed of light, but at the same time, it was like you were in slow motion. And then he starts to gently kiss your neck, inch by inch by inch. He starts to really take his time and ease into things. So you started to feel comfortable. And then he started to make you feel special and precious. You always knew that you deserved to be treated gently, like a fine piece of china. And this is going to be the first time you feel that way. Even though it's what seemingly was an uncomfortable situation at first. And as this is happening, you make the decision to just go with it. And then he starts to kiss you on your lips. And it feels every way you could imagine that you wanted to feel. But then there's a moment when things change. You start to relax and you open your eyes and he's gazing at you in a way that you've never seen him look at you before. It was almost like it wasn't the same person that you knew. And all of a sudden, he started to force himself onto you. And you begin to squirm and tell him to stop. And he just keeps asking you why. Why do you want me to stop? Come on. It's fine. Everything's fine. Come on. He repeats it over and over. And you repeat stop. Over and over and over again. Then you try to push him off. And for some reason, all the strength that you thought you had was gone. He overpowered you. And at that moment, you feel lost and stuck. And he continues to push forward. The one thankful thing that I can say that he does is put on a condom. I know that might not mean much to you now, but once you get there, you will appreciate it. And then he forces himself inside you as you continue to struggle to push him off to no avail. And at that point, you just decide to give up and let it happen, because there's nothing you can do. I can't tell you how long it's going to last, but I can tell you that it does end. And at that moment, when you look into his eyes, it's almost like the soul that had once left had returned. And it was as if nothing ever happened to him. He was so casual and asked if you still want to go to the mall. But because you were just because at this point you were still in shock, you put on your clothes and you leave. There will be days that pass without you answering his calls, without you returning messages that he's going to leave with your roommate. And one day, about a week later, he catches you in the room. He knocks on the door, and as you open it, he's standing there looking as if he lost something that you could help him find. He has to come in, and you let him. So what's going to happen now is tricky. You sit down back at the desk. You take a seat, and he sits right beside you. And in just a few moments of blank stares, he begins to cry. Yes, he actually cries. And he goes on to apologize for what he did wrong. And you actually feel bad for him because you think he has a heart. little do you know, that moment is going to change the way you deal with men for many years to come. And when I say many years, you're 18 at this time, you're going to be in your 30s before it changes, before that no longer has an effect on you. And the biggest reason why is because you didn't think there was anything wrong with what he did. You know that it didn't feel right, but you feel guilty because it's something that you wanted, because you were attracted to him. You took off your clothes, you got into bed with him, and you knew what could happen. But Felix, I gotta tell you, when you tell someone to stop, they need to listen. Because once they cross that line, it is no longer your responsibility. I know that there's no way you can take this back or reverse all the hurt and pain it's caused. But I want you to know that even though this happens, and it completely changes the way that you approach sex, because there's going to be many, many years that you really enjoy yourself, but this is going to take that all away. And like I said, it's gonna be rough for a lot of years. You're actually going to stop having sex altogether for a long time because of this. But even in the end, I want you to know, regardless of all of those things and how it impacts you, you're still never gonna give up on love. Because you know deep down that it exists and it's real and it's just a matter of time. So be patient. That's gonna be the one thing that you're going to struggle with your entire life, patience. But that's really gonna be the key. And that's what's really going to get you through, is your patience, your determination, and your audaciousness. You're amazing, and these little things will happen, but it's not going to knock you out completely. I know this story is a little hard to hear, but I promise you next time, I'm going to tell you a good one. So look forward to that. Have a good night, little Felix.